Permodalan Nasional Berhad. The global economy and financial markets evolve constantly, and to fulfill our vision in becoming a world-class investment house, it is vital that PNB can adapt to these changes as well. Global events in the year so far have challenged us to stabilize amidst the crisis that has brought the world's economy to a near standstill. Markets worldwide will continue to tread carefully as governments and health experts navigate uncharted territories and prepare to embrace the new normal. With so much uncertainty, long-term planning has become almost impossible. It has, however, propelled PNB to be more agile in exploring new opportunities and addressing the challenges ahead. As a long-term investor mandated to enhance the economic wealth of Bumiputras and all Malaysians, PNB is ready to weather the storm and thrive in this new environment. With this in mind, we have developed a new strategic plan to take us further in the next 3 years. Focus 4, as it is called, will steer PNB for the next 3 years and focus on 4 crucial high-impact areas: diversification, value creation, risk management, organizational transformation. Firstly, to truly harness the power of optimizing risk in a low-yield environment, Focus 4 will strategically diversify our investments over a spectrum of global assets, while increasing capital efficiency and crystallizing a more vibrant investment process. Focus 4 will also see us leading more active and structured engagements with our investee companies to ensure sustainable and long-term value creation. Our newly established stewardship framework will institutionalize governance best practices and strengthen organizational health. PNB will strengthen its risk management and cultivate a proactive risk culture across the board and maximize technological capabilities to enable more effective risk monitoring and decision-making. Finally, 2020 onwards will also see PNB embracing the very foundations of its organizational transformation, in particular those integral to people and culture, process, digital, structure, and KPIs. It is a natural evolution of everything we have worked towards thus far as we prepare for what may change in the months and years ahead and ensure we deliver on our mandate of paying sustainable returns that has remained unchanged for the past 4 decades. Focus 4, strengthening our resilience and strategic direction.
Permodalan Nasional Berhad berbekalkan mandat sosial yang khusus. PNB diwujudkan untuk membina dan menggalakkan penyertaan Bumiputera dalam pertumbuhan dan penciptaan kekayaan negara. Untuk mencapai matlamat ini, PNB mengurus 14 dana unit amanah bagi pihak pemegang-pemegang unit amanah individu ASNB, syarikat pengurusan unit amanah milik penuh PNB. Di samping itu, PNB juga menguruskan dana proprietary tersendiri bagi melengkapkan dan melindungi unit-unit amanah di bawah pengurusan kami. Dengan 6 dana harga tetap dan 8 dana harga berubah di bawah rangkaian produk kami, setiap dana dibentuk berdasarkan keperluan pemegang-pemegang unit kami daripada pendidikan anak-anak, persaraan dan semua keperluan lain di antara keduanya dan ditanda aras berbanding deposit tetap Maybank 12 bulan dan FBM 100. Dana-dana tersebut dilaburkan merentasi sempadan dan kelas aset merangkumi ekuiti awam, hartanah, pelaburan persendirian, pendapatan tetap dan tunai berpandukan falsafah yang berlandaskan asas jangka panjang dan beroperasi mengikut proses pelaburan yang mantap. Dengan mandat yang jelas untuk menggalakkan pemilikan sektor korporat dalam kalangan Bumiputera, pelaburan kami banyak tertumpu kepada sektor-sektor pertumbuhan strategik Malaysia. Sejak kebelakangan ini, PNB telah mula melebarkan sayap ke luar negara sebagai sebahagian daripada strategi kami untuk mempelbagaikan pelaburan dan menguruskan risiko dalam lingkungan yang lebih besar. Setiap pelaburan melalui proses yang ketat dengan penekanan kepada asas-asas dan prinsip syariah. Manual syariah kami menyediakan garis panduan amalan pelaburan bertanggungjawab berasaskan Islam. Seterusnya, menghalang pelaburan dalam industri-industri tertentu, antaranya seperti alkohol dan perjudian. Proses-proses tambahan pula menentukan pengawasan, ketelusan dan accountability yang diperlukan bagi memastikan PNB menunaikan janji untuk memberikan pulangan mampan kepada semua pemegang unit. Matlamat untuk memberikan pulangan jangka panjang ini berpaksikan iltizam kami untuk memberi pulangan yang sesuai dengan keadaan pasaran. Hasil hanya diperoleh daripada keuntungan terrealisasi daripada setiap dana, dividen-dividen dan pendapatan lain dengan penilaian rosot nilai berkala yang diaudit oleh juru audit bebas. Semua ini adalah supaya kami berupaya untuk terus memenuhi mandat kami kepada anda semua seperti mana yang telah kami lakukan sejak lebih 4 dekad lalu. Permodalan Nasional Berhad. Kami tetap beriltizam untuk memperkayakan kehidupan golongan bumi putra dan seluruh rakyat Malaysia.
Permodalan Nasional Berhad. Ekonomi global dan pasaran kewangan sentiasa berubah dan bagi memenuhi visi kami untuk menjadi sebuah firma pelaburan yang bertaraf dunia, sememangnya penting bagi PNB untuk mampu menyesuaikan organisasi bagi menghadapi sebarang perubahan. Pelbagai peristiwa global pada tahun ini telah mencabar organisasi untuk memastikan kestabilan di sebalik krisis yang hampir melumpuhkan ekonomi dunia. Pasaran di seluruh dunia akan terus bergerak secara berhati-hati sewaktu kerajaan dan pakar kesihatan mengharungi situasi yang tidak dijangkakan ini dan bersiap sedia mendukung kebiasaan baharu. Dengan begitu banyak keadaan yang tidak menentu, hampir mustahil untuk kita membuat perancangan jangka panjang. Namun, situasi ini telah mendorong PNB untuk menjadi lebih tangkas dalam meneroka peluang-peluang baharu dan menangani sebarang cabaran yang datang. Sebagai pelabur jangka panjang yang diberi mandat untuk meningkatkan kekayaan ekonomi Bumiputera dan seluruh rakyat Malaysia, PNB bersedia untuk menghadapi cabaran ini dan terus berkembang maju dalam persekitaran yang baharu. Justru itu, kami telah merangka satu plan strategik baharu untuk membawa PNB lebih jauh lagi dalam tempoh yang terdekat ini. Pelan yang dinamakan Focus 4 ini akan menjadi hala tuju PNB untuk 3 tahun yang akan datang dan tertumpu kepada 4 bidang berimpak tinggi yang penting: kepelbagaian, penciptaan nilai, pengurusan risiko, transformasi organisasi. Pertama sekali, bagi mengoptimumkan risiko dalam persekitaran yang menjana hasil pulangan rendah, Focus 4 akan mempelbagaikan pelaburan PNB secara strategik meliputi seluruh lingkungan aset global dan pada masa yang sama meningkatkan kecekapan modal serta memperkemaskan proses pelaburan agar menjadi lebih mantap. Focus 4 juga akan menyaksikan penglibatan PNB yang lebih aktif dan berstruktur dengan syarikat-syarikat pelaburan kami bagi memastikan penciptaan nilai jangka panjang yang mampan. Rangka kerja pengawasan yang baharu diperkenalkan akan menjadi sandaran kepada amalan tadbir urus terbaik dan mengukuhkan kesejahteraan organisasi. PNB akan memperkukuhkan pengurusan risiko dan memupuk budaya risiko yang proaktif secara menyeluruh di samping memaksimumkan keupayaan teknologi bagi membolehkan pemantauan risiko dan proses membuat keputusan yang lebih efektif. Akhir sekali, tahun 2020 dan seterusnya akan menyaksikan PNB mendukung segala asas plan transformasi organisasi, khususnya aspek penting berkaitan insan dan budaya, proses, digital, struktur dan petunjuk-petunjuk prestasi utama KPI. Focus 4 merupakan satu evolusi semula jadi bagi segalanya yang telah kami usahakan selama ini ketika kami bersiap sedia menghadapi perubahan yang mungkin berlaku pada bulan-bulan dan tahun-tahun seterusnya dan memastikan kami menunaikan mandat memberi pulangan yang mampan seperti mana yang kami lakukan sejak 4 dekad yang lalu. Focus 4 memperkukuhkan ketahanan dan hala tuju strategik PNB.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. Yang berbahagia, Tan Sri Dr. Zeti Aziz, Group Chairman Permodalan Nasional Berhad PNB, Encik Ahmad Zulkarnain On, President and Group Chief Executive PNB, distinguished boards of directors and leadership teams of PNB and ASNB, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, who are all following this proceedings of this session virtually. On behalf of Permodalan Nasional Berhad PNB, I bid you a warm welcome to the launch of PNB's annual report for the financial year ended 31st December 2020. We are streaming from Menara PNB in Jalan Tun Razak, and I am Aimi Aziz, Head of Communications for PNB, your moderator this afternoon. To begin this session, it gives me great pleasure to invite our Group Chairman, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Dr. Zeti Aziz, to share with us the key highlights of the financial year 2020. Dipersilakan, Tan Sri.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera to everyone. On behalf of PNB, thank you for joining us for this second consecutive year at our virtual media briefing for the launch of the PNB 2020 Annual Report and for the latest updates on the PNB Strategic Plan for 2020 to 2022. My presentation will cover the key highlights of PNB's 2020 Annual Report before handing over to Ahmad Zulkarnain, our President and Group Chief Executive, who will provide an update on the implementation of our strategic plan and the key focus areas for 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, the year 2020 was the most tumultuous in our history. It saw the accelerated pace of the global spread of the COVID-19 pandemic and its catastrophic impact on the world. From a health crisis, it evolved into an economic and humanitarian crisis that the world had never seen before. Economies did not just contract as in previous financial and economic crises, but economic activity across the world came to a grinding halt as shutdowns put an abrupt brake on growth. Developed economies, including the United States, Japan, and the Eurozone countries, had a negative growth in the first half of the year, but showed signs of recovery by the fourth quarter. In Asia, the economic contraction was relatively less, and while China recorded a positive growth, it was at a significantly lower rate as compared to previous years. In the commodities markets, crude oil prices declined massively, while crude palm oil prices also plummeted to its lows. Globalization also took a step back as international trade suffered double-digit declines. As the world plunged into a recession, unemployment increased significantly. These developments were met by a concerted and synchronized global fiscal and monetary response at a speed that the world had never seen before. Cumulatively, these measures aim to provide relief and to restart the functioning of the respective economies. On the home front, the domestic economy also experienced its worst economic contraction in history by 17% during the second quarter, but saw a recovery set in the second half of the year. The equities markets also experienced sharp declines, but showed a gradual recovery towards the end of the year. This was due to several factors, which included the weak corporate earnings, the outflow of foreign funds, the volatile outlook for commodities, and the increasing market uncertainties. Relative to our regional peers, Malaysia's equity market has, however, recorded a more encouraging performance, especially in the second half of the year. For 2021, Malaysia's GDP is projected to expand between 5% to 7.5% as global GDP grows by 6% following the vaccine rollouts and the aggressive policy stimulus that have been implemented. These projections are based on the assumption that the global pandemic conditions will not be prolonged, thereby mitigating any further economic uncertainties. Ladies and gentlemen, despite the highly challenging environment in 2020, it has been an active year for PNB with significant payoffs gained from our transformative strategies that were implemented since 2018. We initiated the year with the launch of Focus 4, which outlines the 4 areas of emphasis for PNB as we advance forward towards transforming and being in a position of greater preparedness for future headwinds. As you can see from the slide, there were various corporate milestones during the year. This includes the introduction of highly innovative new products, new unit holder experience, and the implementation of new strategies to bring the organization forward to becoming a premier investment house. Additionally, PNB withstood the highly adverse and extreme conditions during the year to deliver 3 encouraging achievements in 2020. Firstly, we sustained a relatively resilient financial performance. Secondly, we made great strides in our portfolio diversification efforts. And thirdly, and equally significant, we enhanced our unit holders' experience and value, particularly on the digital platforms. I'm pleased to report that our assets under management continued to grow throughout the year, growing to 322.6 billion ringgit in 2020, recording a 3.4% growth from 2019. The growth in assets under management is underpinned by the 4% year-on-year increase in units in circulation, which reached 264 billion units in 2020. The unit trust funds reached 14.5 million accounts, with the addition of 200,000 new investors, representing the continued trust of Malaysians in PNB. In this highly difficult year that was endured in 2020, PNB distributed a competitive income distribution amounting to 11.1 billion ringgit to our unit holders during the financial year 2020. Most of our variable price funds have also maintained their competitiveness by outperforming the respective benchmarks. The recent concluded results of the 5 funds announced about a week ago also showed competitive results. Both the fixed price funds outperformed its benchmark, while the 3 variable price funds registered double-digit returns. The second achievement during the year is the greater progress achieved in our diversification efforts. Following an extensive review that was conducted in 2019, PNB made great strides to forge ahead to diversify its investments. In addition to the diversification to a wider universe of asset classes in the domestic market, our entry into international markets was also progressively increased. We not only made inroads into the traditional markets, but also into emerging economies. At the conclusion of the year, the international investments formed 12% of the total portfolio as compared to 8.5% in 2019. Meanwhile, income from the global equities had doubled from 1.8 billion ringgit in 2019 to 3.7 billion in 2020. These diversification efforts were complemented by more effective management of our liquidity and our foreign exchange exposures with the setting up of the Treasury Unit in December of 2019. This was also significantly reinforced by a more robust risk management arrangement. Finally, we also improved our unit holders' experience in 2020. During the early stage of the MCO, we launched an online withdrawal facility to provide our unit holders with greater flexibility in managing their requirements. Sharia-compliant estate management services are also available online. The ASB Loan Help Desk was also introduced to assist our unit holders to obtain lower financing rates for their ASB and ASB2. In July of 2020, PNB launched Malaysia's first ever micro investing app, that is RACE, another significant milestone in our digital transformation journey. This app harnesses the power of digital technology to promote financial inclusion. RACE automatically invests a user's spare change from daily purchases using the debit card. It adopts the concept of save as you spend. In less than a year of operations, RACE has successfully attracted over 220,000 sign-ups, with the fund under management having reached more than 20 million ringgit as at 31st March 2021. As part of our global diversification plan, we also launched ASN Imbang 3 Global on Malaysia Day 2020. This is ASNB's first unit trust product that invests in overseas financial markets and is open to all Malaysians. As at 31st March this year, ASN Imbang 3 Global was managing more than 850 million ringgit from 14,650 unit holders. Finally, the most gratifying achievement was the transformation of the physical Minggu Saham Amanah Malaysia event that took place for 20 years into Minggu Saham Digital, a digital version that was enjoyed by millions of Malaysians throughout the country. This had a transformative impact of expanding our outreach. Previously, less than 200,000 on the average participated in the in-person week-long event that was held in different towns and cities across Malaysia. It now became millions when it was held virtually. We are very pleased with this overwhelming response to the inaugural Minggu Saham Digital that was themed Labur Bersama. PNB will build on this success with a more engaging lineup of activities for the Minggu Saham Digital in 2021. Greater leverage on technology and digitalization was also leveraged upon in 2020 for PNB to function more effectively and efficiently. PNB activated the flexible working arrangement to safeguard the safety and well-being of our team, and during the MCO and CMCO period, less than 25% of the workforce were to be in the office. As a record, the team clocked in more than 208,000 hours of virtual collaboration during the year. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, PNB has shown great resilience in navigating the challenging environment to continue to deliver sustainable value to our unit holders. Established in 1978, PNB was accorded with a clear and well-defined mandate, our singularity of purpose to enhance the wealth of the Bumiputra community and that of all Malaysians ensures our strategic focus on this mandate. The transformative strategies we implemented since 2018 have produced significant payoffs which have allowed PNB to continue to deliver competitive returns despite an extremely difficult year. We will continue to build on the momentum of our Focus 4 strategies towards achieving our long-term aspirations. PNB is now well positioned to achieve many more exciting milestones ahead. To our unit holders who have entrusted their precious savings and investments with PNB to assist them to achieve their financial goals, be it saving for unexpected developments or for their children's education or for an entrepreneurial venture or for their retirement. We greatly value the trust that you have placed in us and for your loyalty as we endured 2020 being perhaps the toughest year ever in our history. I wish to reiterate that PNB will continue to uphold our mandate to deliver sustainable returns and to prudently safeguard your investments with us. Before I conclude, I would like to congratulate and commend the PNB team immensely for having done so extremely well in adapting to the new demands of working during this tremendously difficult year without compromising on the quality of the outcomes. With your tenacity and agility, you have ensured that we were able to conclude 2020 on an optimistic note despite the unparalleled challenges during the year. I will now hand over to our President and Group Chief Executive, Ahmad Zulkarnain, to share with you the updates on the Focus 4 in greater detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri, for summing up FY 2020. But before we move on to the presentation by our President and Group Chief Executive, here is a brief montage of the year that was. And next, our President and Group Chief Executive, Encik Ahmad Zulkarnain will present on the progress updates of PNB's strategic plan Focus 4. If you please, Encik Zul.
Thank you, Ami. Terima kasih Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri. Rakan-rakan media yang dihormati, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat sejahtera. Alhamdulillah, saya amat berbesar hati kerana sekali lagi dapat bersama-sama tuan-tuan dan puan-puan pada hari ini. Terima kasih kerana sudi menyertai sesi taklimat kami hari ini. Saya harap tuan-tuan dan puan-puan semua berada dalam keadaan sihat dan selamat. I would like to begin by highlighting what Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri said about PNB's resilient performance and thanking all of our unit holders for the continuous support and trust given to us. As the custodian to the wealth of 14.6 million unit holders, we realize that it is essential to keep an open, transparent and timely communication with all of you to keep you updated on our investment operations and performance, as well as our plans for the year ahead. To drive PNB as we forge ahead towards becoming a distinctive world-class investment house, in 2020 we further sharpened our strategic initiatives by continuing the implementation of Focus 4, which was launched in May last year. The 4 pillars of this plan are diversification, value creation, risk management, and organizational transformation. Our diversification efforts are progressing well, I'm happy to report, with judicious deployment across different asset classes and geographies. We continue to expand our global footprint, with our international exposure growing from 8.5% last year to 12% in 2020. Our investment teams have been hard at work at building the networks and relationships globally, while also increasing the presence of PNB as a strong and credible investment partner in many of the world's financial centers. Our exposure in international public equity has increased from 2.3% in 2017 to 8.7% in 2020, with our maiden deployment into global fixed income instruments such as US Treasuries and also US dollar denominated corporate bonds. At the same time, we continue to invest in various private investments, private equity and real estate funds, both directly and indirectly, via high-quality private funds. Our ability to co-invest with these funds with strong and credible general partners have also increased markedly over the past year. Under the second focus area of value creation, we aim to fortify the performances of our strategic companies through active shareholder engagement. We published the PNB Stewardship Framework to inform and educate our investee companies on our investment stewardship philosophy and expectations. From now on, we are also writing an annual shareholders letters to the companies to set out our expectations as shareholders. We established a strategic investments council to share best practices and also align interests amongst our companies. We refined the PNB voting guidelines and published the compliance statement with the Malaysian Code for Institutional Investors to maintain our standards of good corporate governance. In an effort to rebalance our existing portfolio, we undertook a number of transactions. For example, we divested the entire 56% shares held by PNB and the funds in CCM last year at a significant premium. And we've also done a number of market transactions, including the disposal of our shares in Mesiniaga recently. The emergence of risks deriving from an ever-changing investment landscape has led PNB to strengthen our existing risk management processes in safeguarding the interests of our stakeholders, particularly the unit holders. We now have a robust and structured risk culture framework with the setting up of transversal risk subcommittees and also the adoption of an integrated risk management solution which digitizes our risk management workflow. The final focus area is organizational transformation, in which we aspire to nurture a high-performing workforce and work culture in a technology-enabled environment. In a time when global health concerns necessitated new ways of working, the PNB team adapted well and remained productive even as they shifted to virtual collaborations at the safety of their own homes. We have something called the flexible work arrangement, which was made a permanent option for PNB staff with widespread utilizations of tools like Microsoft Teams, Zoom, SharePoint. We also marked the first step of our journey in becoming a knowledge-based organization by launching Knowledge Hub, a central repository of key information and documents accessible to all teams regardless of where they may be working from. We are almost at the halfway mark of PNB's Focus 4, where we sharpened our strategic direction in 4 identified areas. For 2021, PNB will continue to uphold our mandate in providing value to our unit holders by prioritizing 3 focus areas, namely, number 1, creating value by assessing the performance of our domestic portfolio. Number 2, continuing our diversification efforts across different asset classes both domestically and internationally. And number three, accelerating technology enhancements and also our digital offerings to unit holders. To increase the value of our strategic and core companies, we will pursue continuous engagement with them as we work towards setting short and medium-term targets by imposing disciplined capital allocation and also establishing best practices for board and board compositions, as well as reviewing their value creation plans. Our aspiration is clear, which is to outperform the annualized 3-year return of the FBM 100 for all of our companies. Secondly, we will continue to judiciously increase our exposure to global markets and manage risks across a larger spectrum. Our diversification efforts have led to the growth of our international allocation from 3% in 2018 to 12% last year. This in turn has increased the income contribution from international public equity from only 2.2% in 2018 to 25% in 2020. So that's a very large increase from international investing. This achievement by Team PNB was made possible by the setting up of asset class frameworks, formulating our house views, building capacity and capabilities in-house, and also having strong relationships with external fund managers, as well as deploying our assets in a prudent and judicious manner. Several investment themes will be of interest to us in 2021. For example, under public equities, we believe the renewable energy sector, infrastructure, and growing adoption of 5th generation of wireless technology, or 5G, will be a mainstay. We are keen to gain exposure in these sectors through initial public offering participations, having a structured approach to external fund managers for certain strategies, as well as investments in themes to different types of investment securities like exchange-traded funds. For fixed income, we look to continue with trading of government bonds and tactical trading while expanding into emerging markets as well. Meanwhile, for real estate, PNB has been investing in supply chain logistic firms and aim to expand our investments and exposure and ride on the growth of data centers globally. For private investments, PNB is continuing with our strategy of buyouts, private equity secondaries, and also undertaking co-investments besides seeking opportunities in the local consumer discretionary sector. We will also leverage on the momentum gained last year by further accelerating our digital transformation initiatives. These include the digitization of our customers' journey through goal-based investing and eKYC, which is coming in the months ahead, enhancing our unit holders' online experience through an improved Minggu Saham Digital, as well as other digital touchpoints. And we've also established a digital innovation hub within Jewel Digital Ventures, our wholly owned subsidiary. And also we are undergoing various projects to enhance both our core unit trusts and also our core investment systems. By the end of 2021, we expect to have successfully implemented all these initiatives under the respective focus areas. There are opportunities to boost the overall performance of our strategic and core companies, and we will work hard towards achieving that. Our team will also continue to work closely with them to ensure that our value creation plans will be able to deliver sustainable and superior shareholder returns in the years ahead. We will also continue our diversification efforts to advance closer to our strategic asset allocation targets and achieve our long-term investment plans. In this ever-changing landscape, it is important for PNB to progressively build a resilient all-weather investment portfolio. And lastly, we plan to successfully execute our digital transformation initiatives in order to improve our digital offerings to all unit holders. A number of key improvements, eKYC, goal-based investing, will be rolled out this year. And that will essentially allow Malaysians to access domestic and international assets really at their fingertips. Ladies and gentlemen, PNB celebrated our 43rd anniversary on 17th March this year. And we are thankful that we have been able to continuously deliver on our mandate since inception. We will continue to do so while remaining true to who we are, a long-term investor focused on generating sustainable returns to our unit holders. With the organization transformation initiatives implemented during the year, I believe that PNB is now much more agile and well equipped to realize greater potential as we enter the post-COVID-19 era. We will focus our strategies towards growing our portfolio to do better for the benefit of Bumiputras and all Malaysians, and for the overall prosperity of the nation. Before I end, I would like to convey my sincere appreciation to the media representatives for joining us today. Your role is indeed significant in helping us communicate our mission and performance to all Malaysians, and especially to our 14.5 million unit holders. And for that, we at PNB are indeed grateful and for your long-standing support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Encik Zul, for providing the latest updates on Focus 4 and also highlighting the key areas for 2021. Our President's presentation wraps up our session today, and I am pleased to inform that our annual report for 2020 will be uploaded on our website, www.pnb.com.my, so do feel free to browse through. Thank you to all of you following us now on Facebook, and do also follow us on other social media platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, where we share news of our activities. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in this afternoon. For members of the media, do stay a while for the Q&A session with our Group Chairman and President and Group Chief Executive. Thank you.